From the west side, it is me, DCThePurpleDiva. Welcome to Not So Random Chat. Curfew 2020. All of Los Angeles County. Sorry about that, y'all. Trying to get myself together here. But all of Los Angeles County is on a 6 to 6 curfew today. As of 6 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. There have been looting in the cities of Santa Monica, Long Beach, and in the city of Whittier. The whole situation is crazy. Crazy. But I know we're gonna make it through this. But here's the funny thing about everything that's going on right now. Nobody's talking about the coronavirus. Nobody's talking about corona. They're not talking about it like it went away. Now, I know it didn't go away. Maybe we're in the halftime. I don't know. It's just disheartening, the reaction. Now, I think most of us are well aware that the people who are out there that are looting and causing all the havoc are not the people who are protesting for George Floyd. They're not protesting for Breonna. They're not protesting for Ahmaud. They're simply there using it as an opportunity to cause havoc and chaos. And to get the entire conversation off track. Now, I don't even know what to say. Because I'm at a loss for words. And I mean, this whole thing is not just, the protests aren't just happening in the United States. These protests are happening any place that Black people are. Now, I saw a post on Instagram today, and it was really a film, a clip of James Baldwin, the writer. And in this clip, he said that if you're white, you're European. And if you're Black, you're African. In other words, that's where your people came from. But you, as a white person, are not going back to Ireland or England or wherever it is that your ancestors came from any more than the majority of the Black people in this country are going to go back to Africa, where our ancestors were ripped from. So we're either going to live together or we're going to die together here. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. Hey, Angel. Yeah, I feel I need an angel with praying hands right now because of what we're going through. I mean, this is just so insane. The things that are going on right now. I'm literally looking at streets in the city of Santa Monica where they broke into a music store and you could see guitars and other things scattered on the street. You can see tennis shoes scattered across along the streets. It's crazy. What's crazy is the things that these people are going for too. I mean, why are they getting all of these shoes? Are they planning on what? I guess flipping them, selling them on the street, selling them on eBay? Because that's a lot of what we're seeing. We're seeing, clothes, we're seeing, but a lot of tennis shoes like Adidas, Nikes, petty crimes. But I guess if they're taking hundreds of dollars of it, those tennis shoes are pretty expensive. So I guess, if they've taken 10 pairs, they probably already committed grand larceny. It's just so disheartening. I wasn't even watching. That's rude. My son decided right now to get ice out of the ice dispenser when he knows I'm on here. When he knows I'm on here. Hey, Darren. When he knows I'm on here. My dad has called me today. My sister called me. She's in the Valley section of Los Angeles. I'm not even in the city of Los Angeles, but I am in Los Angeles County. And we've been on lockdown since 6 o'clock. When I found out we were on lockdown at 6 o'clock? After 6 o'clock. Because I thought maybe they were going to do the 8 o'clock thing like they did yesterday. But they made it 6 o'clock. And that's going to be crazy if they're going to try to do that, all this week. I don't think they're going to be able to do 6 o'clock during the week, considering, some people actually have gone back to work and some people don't get off work till 6. So there's no way they would make a 6 o'clock curfew. So I'm just, I'll go ahead and promote the video that I put out today. I put out a vlog today. It was a hard vlog for me to do because I have a lot of mixed feelings. I put out a vlog today, and it was an autism vlog, obviously, in regards to Micah Stafford and her husband, who adopted a child on the autism spectrum and have quote unquote rehomed him. And I was giving my reaction to it, and I tried to be as PC as I could possibly be in my video, but I was really pissed off. I'm still pissed off about it because I do think that they exploited that child. I do, because that's how they grew their channel. They got sponsors. I think that's even how, I think they weren't even monetized on YouTube and, until they started all of that. Just, it makes adoption look bad, especially when it comes to kids on the spectrum. And I personally think that there were excuses in regards to that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not the only one who feels that way. Yeah, Micah is trending on pretty much all social media right now as not being such a good mama, you know, because if you go back and look at the videos, and I'm trying to get off of what's going on out there for a moment, so bear with me. I'll get back to the madness that is out there in a moment. But if you go back and look at this woman's videos over the last couple of years, she exploited this child's meltdowns and stuff. I knew that had something to do with it, but I believe that they did some things that may not have been the best for this child. And I also believe that they did not take his autism seriously and do the things that they could do to help him. And I pray that there are no long-term repercussions for this child, because I think he's under the age of 5. So you guys are on curfew in Arizona as well. I don't think that there's going to be a statewide thing in California, only because, you know, yesterday there was a lot more stuff going on. But today, the issues were in areas other than the areas that they were yesterday. Like today, you pretty much stayed in Santa Monica and did not come back into the city of Los Angeles. I mean, they trashed stuff yesterday, so they didn't get back out there again today. But people haven't been doing social distancing. There's none of that's going on. Do I believe that Corona is a myth and was just a control tactic to keep us home? No, I don't think that it was a myth. I think that it's real. And I think that it's still out there. And I think that these people out there doing this looting and all of this stuff, all these protests where they're not doing the social distancing, where they're not doing the things that they should be, are only going to lead to people getting a positive for this virus. I think there'll be more people are going to be exposed to it. And I personally think that that's what some people want. I personally think that some people want this to get to a martial law. But I don't think that that's going to happen nationwide. I do think that Los Angeles County may have been more incensed because of the Rodney King trial that happened like 25 years ago. However, many of the people who came in here and were inciting this stuff aren't even from here. They came from other places to cause havoc here. So that makes me question, what's really going on. I know I seem rather withdrawn. I'm just in shock. I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. I'm going to keep talking, though. I just don't know what to say. They're starting fires in Santa Monica and right now. And I mean, I'm watching fire crews there. And I tried to switch, most of this off for the majority of the day because I just did not want to deal with it. I wanted to, keep it out of my eye sockets for a while because it's a lot. And I see people that I know that were part of the protest. I see people that I know that are going on Facebook Live tonight that are still out there in the middle of all of this stuff. And in my head, I'm saying, go home. Why are you out there? Because anything that was going to serve any purpose to us being heard about what it is that we want is not being served at almost 10 o'clock at night. And, I've protested before. I've put myself in a position of, almost being arrested. I've done all of that. And I'm not saying that, I wouldn't do it now, but I'm certainly not going to be out there looting and doing all this stuff at this time of night. And one of the main reasons that I'm not necessarily going to the things that are going on is because of the stuff that's going on right now. And I don't know, I happen to have a disabled adult with me who would be at these things with me. And I just don't think that it would be a wise decision on my part to participate in person in the demonstrations, in the the protest that was downtown. But I can tell you one thing, if I had gone, I would have been back home long before now. And I probably would have only been participating in the things that happened on yesterday. I certainly wouldn't have been out there with these people just hanging out. I just wouldn't. I mean, businesses were just opening back up. Many people were just going back to work. The demonstrations is not what anybody has any problem with. No one has an issue with the demonstrations. What people have an issue with is this chaos. And I know there's some people that think the chaos is great and that they should just burn everything to the ground. But every time that we've done that before, what has that done? Has that gotten any issue resolved? I'll wait. Has it? Because I don't remember it getting anything resolved before. I don't. I truly think that we as a nation have a lot of stuff that we need to deal with in regards to racism. And it's systematic racism. And I'm not sure if what's going on now is going to be what's going to do it. I can say that what's going on here in the United States has gotten worldwide attention because let's be clear about it. Black people are not treated well by law enforcement around the world. It's not just a United States issue. It's just that there's a lot of it going on here. And fortunately or unfortunately, social media is catching a lot of this stuff. Because honestly, if those videotapes had not gotten out, who knows if even one of those officers would have been put into custody. We're still waiting on the other 3, though. And I think that that's part of what the frustration is with the peaceful demonstrators. I think that is part of the frustration that law enforcement who are just trying to do a job and not trying to use their job as a way to impose things on people of other ethnicities are frustrated as well, because of those that have misused and abused this power. All are being blamed at this time. All. And it's really sad. It's really sad. It's not a happy time in this country. We still have people dying of the coronavirus. You know, I mean, even though, you know, most of us probably didn't get any recounts of what's going on with coronavirus over the weekend, because, you know, we've been occupied with this other stuff. Tomorrow morning it's going to be reality. And again, we're going to find out about people who are either contracting or may have passed from the coronavirus. It hasn't gone away. Hasn't gone away. And this, you know, all this stuff that people are doing, I pray has not exacerbated that situation. Hey, Tutu Thing Thing. I pray that the situation isn't exasperated. You know, but I don't know about y'all, but a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew sucks. And it's not that I wanted to go anywhere, but I mean, I wanted to go to the grocery store today, but I didn't go fast enough because I thought I would have till 8 o'clock. So that's my bad. That's my bad. But what is burning all these buildings going to do? I just remember the rebellion in the 90s. And, you know, I wasn't in California in the 60s when they had the Watts riot. But this wasn't even our situation. And to me, it looks like more destruction has happened in the Los Angeles area than happened in Minneapolis, the epicenter. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Why are these people in California reacting this way? More importantly, why are some people flying into California or driving into California so that they can react this way here? Because there were many more peaceful demonstrations than there were the stuff that I'm seeing. I mean, heck, I even saw one where they were doing the Cupid Shuffle, but I'm sure the news media didn't show that one. You know, I saw one where the people in Denver, where the people were laid out, symbolizing like how George Floyd was laid out on the street. They had laid themselves out in the park. I saw that one. I told you guys I saw one in Italy yesterday where they were on their knees. Saw one in Harlem yesterday. Same thing, on their knees with their hands up. So there's so much more as far as peaceful demonstrations, peaceful protests, protests where they're just doing what they need to do, but they're not causing havoc. But unfortunately, the focus is on these acts of looting, of putting police cars on fire, setting police cars on fire. I mean, I've seen that in multiple cities over this weekend. We've had the National Guard called into Minneapolis, into Los Angeles. I don't know if they were called into Atlanta. They probably were. They've been acting a fool in Chi-Town. I saw a car set on fire in Seattle, a cop car set on fire in Seattle yesterday. Hey, Angel came up. I'm gonna let you up. Hey, Angel.
Hey, Purple Diva.
Yeah, this is just sad to me. Yeah, Angel came up.
Is that your husband?
No, that's David talking in the background.
Oh, your son.
Yeah, that's David. Yeah.
Hey, David, if you can hear me, I love you, man. Keep following your dreams and keep being who you are and keep following what you want in life and keep believing in yourself, man. Because just look what I've done for myself. You can do it as well, David. Just make sure you know what you want in life and make sure you go for it and accomplish everything that you want and overcome the challenges that you face.
Okay. Did you hear Angel say thank you, Angel?
Thank you, Angel.
You heard him? He said thank you, Angel.
No problem.
Hey, Zero. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, because if they keep doing what they're doing, if this goes on, I'm praying that during the week that people calm down.
But to be honest, I don't know either. And exactly what is this trying to prove, or what is this trying to accomplish, and what message are they are sending by doing this? And earlier today, I was speaking to one of the residents in my apartment. I basically said to my resident is that the looting and the riots that are going on is much like the scene from Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Because if any of you saw that movie by Disney, you will notice that there's a scene in the movie at the beginning where Jasmine's and Aladdin's wedding is crashed by a group of notorious thieves, who one of them is Aladdin's father, and they crashed the party by having a mob of elephants come and destroy the palace, and they take a lot of precious jewelry and stuff from the people within the palace, and that's basically what the rioters and looters are doing. Is much like that scene.
Hey Terry. Sorry y'all. If y'all hear pops and everything over here, they're shooting off fireworks. Sorry.
Uh,
I that's all I can tell you.
but have you ever seen Aladdin and the King of Thieves,
Oh yeah,
Terry?
I've seen all of the Aladdin movies.
Yeah, and if you know which scene I'm talking about, that's pretty
Yeah,
much
at
what
the
is
very
like.
beginning. I sure do. Yeah,
Yep.
it's utter chaos. I mean, right now the
Yep.
streets are starting to get deserted here because they either A ran the people off or B they've been arrested.
Hmm.
But I mean, they just like busted into all businesses, no matter what it was. They didn't even care. It was just the CVS's, the pharmacies, everything. It's crazy. But how are you guys dealing with the curfews and everything there in Arizona,
Um,
Angel?
But the governor just implemented it today. And believe it or not, I didn't even know that he had put a curfew in place because when I was outside earlier this afternoon, I basically was going for a bike ride to simply get out of the apartment a bit and to
Uh-huh.
go get something to eat at the KFC. And when I came back, one of the staff people in my apartment had said that she needed to talk to me, and I thought it was something bad or something like that. But she was just wanting to talk to me to inform me about the curfew order that the governor of Arizona had implemented, and she asked me, "Do I know anything about these riots that are going on?" And I basically told her, "Yeah, but I don't pay too much attention to it because it's nothing that I'm worried about or nothing that I'm too over concerned because I have my own life to worry about."
Right. It's just I don't know. I don't know how a lot of people are gonna I understand the frustration because
Same here.
I'm very frustrated. I'm angry too. But I also know that this is not going to get the result that people want. I mean, what is burning down buildings in Los Angeles going to do in regards to a case that's in Minnesota? I mean,
And what is it?
how is
And
it going
also,
to impact Minnesota? I mean,
yeah.
how is it going to impact? I just don't get it.
And what is it also trying to prove?
Exactly. Hey Terry.
Love
Good
you,
evening.
Terry.
Hello.
How have you been?
I'm doing fine, Angel. How about yourself?
Trying to keep cool. It's been hot a lot recently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
How's
very
it
warm.
how's it up your way, Terry? I haven't heard much about what was going on in that area. But I know today Northern California seems to be pretty quiet compared to Southern California.
Very quiet. Yeah, quiet as a mouse. Have it's been no actions of protests that I know of. It could have been some sort of rally up at the Capitol. I just haven't. I just don't know it. But as far as any rioting or anything like that, any violence, no, not at all.
Yeah,
It's been very quiet.
and that's why I'm like today. I mean, after last night, I thought, okay, they've gotten it all out. They're finished. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking because these people they have to understand. They have to realize you doing this stuff in Los Angeles, in Seattle, in Atlanta, and in Chicago isn't going to do diddly for what's going on in the city of Minneapolis. Burning
Agreed.
stuff up in these other cities is not going to have any impact on how fast or if they bring those other three officers in. And I guess that's where I'm frustrated with, you know, and especially since the people who are doing that stuff are not the people who are trying to get people's attention about the disparity in the legal system for Black people, period.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Agreed.
You know, and but one of the things that Darren had, oh, who's this? One of the things that Darren had on his live earlier was right in line with exactly what I've been saying. You know, by 2050, the world is going to be very Black and brown if they don't kill us first. And it's
Anything's possible.
and I mean, but it's the truth. I mean, if the population continues as it is currently, the majority of the children will be on the continent of Africa by 2050, which means the majority of the population in the world will be of color. It is what it is. But I don't know if there's a fear factor, you know, with some of, you know, of these people who are under this impression that everyone who is not of European descent is lower than them, you know, but I just don't, I'm trying to figure out how the things that people are doing currently are going to really help, because I feel that we do have to do something, but I don't think that this is what we need to do. I think, you know, some of the things along the lines of some of the things that you've talked about, Terry, are probably the better measure. You know, I mean, we can remember back to Black Wall Street, which of course they destroyed, but it seems that when the fear is of us figuring out our own worth and who we really are, and every time we appear to be moving in that direction, we get knocked down.
Can I say something right quick, Diva?
Yeah.
You just said that how are you guys going to find your own worth or find your guys' own kind of thing for yourselves as Black people? To be quite honest, I don't think it's never going to happen, and I'm not trying to sound like any form of racist or anything, but with the way that Blacks are with each other, there's never going to be anything that y'all can accomplish, and the only way to do that is if you guys like just learn to agree with each other or learn to agree to disagree. Because why do you think the LGBTQ community got a lot of things that they wanted in like the past 15 years? Because they never looted buildings that refused them service. They would just protest in front of that business that refused to bake gay couples a wedding cake, and they kept on getting what they wanted later in life, like the Matthew Shepard Act, and they got the right to marry approved by the Supreme Court in 2015. There's been more that the LGBT community has done than Blacks have been trying to get because how the Blacks approach.
Well, I think that it is possible, but I think part of the issue right now is that many people are too busy trying to assimilate and trying to be accepted instead of just, you know, not trying to be accepted, but simply, you know, carving our own way.
I think we always have to remember that anything we do in this system based on reform will always leave the power in the hands of those who continue to perpetuate injury to our people. And that's the way it's been historically. What I'm saying is that it's better to get to a posture of liberation and independence. And what that means is having the power to stop anyone from doing anything like this to you. You put a stop to that. And things like that can be organized and planned over a long course of time with in conjunction with international allies. You can't do it on your own because there's too much of a history of them thwarting. You alluded to that briefly, Diva. There's too much undermining going on. So all these things have to be taken into consideration, and all of them have to be planned for and expected in terms of getting there. So as we move, as you want to move ahead, there's always going to be obstacles and impediments thrown in your path, just because it has to be understood and made clear. I think a lot of people know this, but they don't understand how effective the fact that we've been on the bottom for so long, through all the changes, scientific and otherwise, the racial stigma has always remained that constant. I contend that that concept is a necessary condition for the maintenance of capitalism. This is what a lot of people really don't want to come to grips with nor really understand. In fact, it's not really even in their
system.
Excuse me.
It's a systematic racism.
Yes, but at the same time, it's based on an exploitative relationship. Even the economic system is itself, because what it does to Africa.
Yep.
So you have to understand all that has to be corrected. It can't be a piecemeal thing. It's really, as I said the other night, we really fight against a global system, but where we are geographically is part and parcel of the whole. You understand? And so once we start understanding that, we need to collectively, if we understood that, we would start collectively organizing just for that type of liberation. And liberation does not mean to conquer anybody, because let's be honest, we do not have a history of harming white folks at all, historically. The best we've ever done is react, as you see now, to the injury. And so I think we need to understand that everybody on this earth that has respect, and they don't have to like you, because there's a lot of people who run the establishment and the power brokers that run this country and in the Western Hemisphere, they respect, but they don't like. But they have to respect those people because they have the power to check them at certain times, whether it's economics, whether it's diplomacy, whether it's international agreements, whether it's tariffs, you know what I mean, and things of this nature. We don't have that power, you understand? And until we understand that on that level, and it has to be on a level that rivals theirs, then this continues. And I think that, as I said the other night, I believe we ran the gamut. And all we're doing when we appeal to these particular institutions and some of these people, to me, we're just regurgitating some of the same things we've done, and it has been proven that it only works. The changes that we get only go so far, and it's designed that way. Until we understand that, and there's so many examples of that, it's just not even funny. This will continue. Now we're in year 401, so it needs to be understood. I think we can clearly see that this has to happen for them to continue to have the dominance, the economic, the political and social dominance that they have.
No,
and that must be understood.
And the thing is that what the individuals who are out there causing all of this, the chaos and everything, the ones who are not the agents of chaos, because some of these people are plants, but the ones who kind of go along with this are playing right into their hands. They're playing right into their hands.
Yep.
So yes, that they are.
And I will always like and respect you, Terry. You are an awesome man.
Thank you, Angel.
Yeah, I mean,
right back at you.
But you're right about certain things too, Angel. It has something to do with us as a people, being able to come together as a people. That is one of the things that it is hard, but that also is because of, unfortunately,
Yeah.
many of us still have the plantation mentality, and that was put into us, into our ancestors. So it's unfortunately in many of our DNAs.
Yeah.
That it, that PTSD is just kind of handed down generation after generation. But at some point, we as a people are going to have to break that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got to be a
Yep.
point to where you make the decision that you have to be sufficient, self-determining, liberating, and independent at some point
Yep.
in time, because that's the only way you can kind of that you will break the stigma and get the respect you need. No one has to like you. We're not talking about being loved. I mean, we understand that. I mean, I'm not trying to legislate behavior. I understand it's the wherewithal behind the white dominance that we keep being suffered from. I think, this is a point that has to be understood. It's the power that you need to check something like that from happening, or you just be historic, perpetual victims at times when people want to exercise that, knowing that they can do it without fear of reprisal. And
Exactly.
that's what we see.
Exactly.
So we keep seeing that this recurrent theme through history wherever we are on the earth. You know what I mean? This is just one area.
And I think that has a lot to do with what happened, unfortunately, in Minnesota. Is that those police officers did not think that there would be any consequences because they'd gotten away with it before.
Yep.
For a long time. The slave catchers who were deputized in the antebellum South, were lawmen. So law enforcement has really always been used against us. I mean, that's just been the historical fact. So we really shouldn't be. Yeah, we shouldn't be surprised at all.
And I think that has something to do with the fact that many are calling for the fact that if we have to be in the society with law enforcement, then the law enforcement in the communities needs to be people that are from those specific communities, so that they understand the people in that community, and hopefully it won't be the way things are now. I mean, whereas in most cases, and I can say this for a fact, most of the police officers in the Los Angeles Police Department don't live in the areas that they actually work in. They live in LA, but they don't live in the part of Los Angeles that they work in. It is what it is. Because, I mean, they do require them to live in the city, that part. But, he may live in the San Fernando Valley section of Los Angeles, and he is in Rampart. That's where he works. So
yeah,
and it's a disconnect. But then again, you also have, because of the stigma with law enforcement, you have many people who are of color that have no interest in becoming law enforcement because they don't see them as good people.
Right. Absolutely.
They don't see them as good people. They don't trust.
And I think as a matter of, yes, I would also like to add, I think as a matter of strategy, or I believe as a matter of strategy, that they wouldn't ever hire enough qualified Black people who could exercise the type of judgment that a police officer is supposed to have dealing with the public anyway. I think everything is a question of power. I think it's going to continue to be that. And while we're not thinking about overthrowing anybody or building a independent state, at least at the very least, I would like to see us have an effective organization holding those who are Republicans and those who are Democrats, effectively responsible for them, to at least get some sort of some incremental changes that might make some difference, some measure of difference, at the very least, since they don't want, obviously, we don't have mindset to do anything else independent, but at least I think it would take some dedicated people organizing to do that, and understanding that they have to work in a way that's going to be in the sole interest of their people. If they can't understand that and take the heat and the criticism for that, then nothing changes even incrementally
No,
for
you're right.
blacks. That's at the very least, at the ground level, that's really what should happen. Since people want to be, in these two political parties, they have no power in at all. See, I believe that blacks are like the caboose of those old trains that had the caboose in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how we are. Kind of, we're happy just to bring up the rear, if you will, and be used effectively for other people to achieve success. And so, I mean, as long as we go this way, falling for personalities and things of this nature that really have no substance, not effective and make the changes that we need, is year 401. I mean, I don't know what more evidence one needs to know that people are not sincere here.
That's my stance is that I don't think people, and maybe people are starting to understand that, we are at a crossroads as a nation. We really, really are.
I agree.
It's unfortunate. It's with the current president that we have, because I don't think that he is the right kind of leader that we need for what's going on right now.
I agree, Diva. But let me just add this, if I may.
Go ahead.
I've never understanding after, studying the presidency as an institution.
Mm-hmm.
And this is long before Barack Obama became president. It's never been designed to maintain a measure of justice for black people. That's just the truth. You're not going to exact justice from anybody sitting in the Oval Office. If you really, really look at it and be honest about it, it would have to be such a paradigm shift in mentality that they couldn't extricate themselves right now from how things are that are in their area of operation in this country, because it is philosophically and ideologically, I contend, exploitative. And again, that's the only relationship between races that they're ever going to accept. That's why it's been such a consistent thing these last 401 years. See, they understand their assignment and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. We don't understand that, though, for some reason.
That part is very true, because we aren't really technically even part of the Constitution. We're just an amendment at this point.
Right. Our existence is a result of some constitutional adaptations and interpretations that could be taken away any time if they have a mind to do so. So, what kind of power is that? None. Very true. So you really got to look at it. It's some hard things we have to look at that we don't. We just will not. We just refuse. And a lot of us don't know. I understand. A lot of us haven't really made the commitment to really look that deep into it. But and again, I understand the propaganda that tells you that you're part of a body politic, but it's always been political trickery. Yes, you have some people with nice jobs and millionaires and everything, but Many of them have to cheese like Pops Armstrong in order to keep those positions. Well, for those who don't know who Pops Armstrong, that's Louis Armstrong, which I have no problem with Louis Armstrong, but you know that kind of smile, that kind of demeanor, they have to do those things, and our people are the only ones they have to kiss behind, no matter what their station is in society. To me, it's just absurd. But I see that a lot. See, I don't want anybody to love me. I want the respect. If I was a spokesman for our people, my position would be: look, I don't want you to love me, but you will respect me, and these are the reasons why. These are the institutions I built. This is the military I have with its capability, and this is the effective diplomacy I have. That we can work together in an inclusive society, but you just can't rule over me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So until we get to that point, that's going to be a very, very hard thing to do, because a lot of us, number one, obviously don't think that needs to happen. They think that the remedies could still be found. And when you look at it from a distance, it looks very pristine and very effective. I myself wanted to be a congressman at one time when I was a child, but when I started looking at when I got out of the sanitized version of politics and started reading how dirty it is, I said, hell no. Right. They wouldn't like me in Congress at all. They wouldn't like me at all. So, you know, I got you get to the point where if you really want to affect change for your people, after you really got to do some things that that are just vastly different, and it's going to piss a lot of people off anyway. You just got to accept that. You know,
well,
but we can't be concerned.
But see, that's the thing, and I think from my perspective, that's what I'm saying, we are at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads as a country, because everything that we have done up to this point in regards to this specific situation of systematic racism, which everyone is well aware of. They all know what's going on. But the thing is that the things that have been done to change it have not changed anything. So whatever we're doing now is not working. So we as a country have to tackle this entire situation completely different from what we've been doing. The protest don't work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe people getting involved in government and being involved in who gets into police will change that perspective, but this is only part of the problem. The
you have to be organized to effectively make the change.
It's only part of the problem. And I do think that a lot of people have righteous indignation about this. And I do think that enough people are, you know, trying to figure out something to do that right now might be the time for a radical move.
Correct. For a long time now.
You know,
and you know, it's definitely very well maybe doors have to be slammed, jobs and positions lost, money's dried up. I might have mentioned this before. You know, but that's the price to get to the other side of this and never visit it again.
This is happening.
That has to happen at some point.
I mean, we now they're trying to all push this about being about Black Lives Matter and everything. That's what this is supposed to be about. Okay, that's what they made it about. That's what they've made this about. Okay, but here's my thing. If all we're going to be doing is having these protests this week and next week, like, you know, the last time they did it, you remember the last time when it was Eric Garner, when it was Sandra Bland, when it was Trayvon Martin. If all we're gonna do is
All
is
Sterling.
see these marches and people right now burning up buildings this week,
Right.
then we are the definition of insanity because to me what's going on right now seems to be the same thing that's always gone on, nothing different, and it's not going to it's not going to garner a different result.
Right. I mean, it's to the point where they can predict what's going to happen in the outcome.
So
status quo will remain the same. See, no one's trying to. I'm not talking about overthrowing anybody, although that's what revolution is. I'm not really talking about revolution right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely need some militancy, some radical changes happen, and definitely, you have to do some extreme things in terms of being critically organized to do it. And we haven't got to that stage yet. That's the problem. But this has to be in conjunction with international allies. It can't just be, just a minority group. They keep saying that we're only 13% of the population, which I don't believe. I don't believe this maintained 13% forever. I think we're much more than that. But constantly this rhetoric that we can't do anything because of you do need some international allies. I think we should consider building our own schools. I think we should consider studying military science. I think we need to look at some things that we haven't done before, and I guess if people want to maintain themselves in the United States as citizens, you have to have an effective political machinery to hold people responsible. And we haven't done that through these political parties. You have no power in them. I would at least like to see blacks look at themselves in a independent party, an inclusive party, but they control it themselves and have super PACs that could bankroll. And of course, you're going to need the black elite to be part of that to help bankroll the machinery to put candidates up. If you just want to stay within, the United States scope of things, people still want to vote. At least do that. But you got these personalities that are controlling folks in these political parties. When I heard Diddy say that if blacks don't get what they want, he's going to hold the vote. Who named him the political power broker of the black vote? I don't know if you ever heard that, sis.
Oh, you talking about Biden?
I mean, nah. Well, yeah, Diddy. Yeah, he had a nerve to say. I'm like, who named Diddy the political broker in the contest of the black vote?
Nobody.
I mean, it was just absurd to hear that.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention to Diddy. He can't even decide what his name is.
All right. I mean, for him to, but he seemed to somehow think he is, though. It was hilarious. See, this is what I mean. This kind of time wasting things going on. Those are people that you don't need speaking at all.
I mean,
we have some brilliant people in
I don't even think has the right to vote.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't think.
But
yeah, I don't know if they gave him back because I did find out that once you come from prison, you can get your right to vote back. But you have to go through a process to get it back. But I don't believe he got it. I don't believe he got the vote.
Well, it makes him sound more absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some brilliant people in the Democratic and Republican parties. If they wanted to put all their resources together and their collective intelligence together, I think we could build a machinery that could hold these political parties responsible to us. But don't seem like they want
to. That would mean that the Black National Caucus would actually have to be an effective body.
Yeah. True. I agree. They've been very ineffective.
They would have to be.
They're silent.
Body. They're not. And in all of this stuff now, this is one of the things I do want people, as all of this stuff that's going around, I've heard Maxine Waters say something, course, she always has something to say. But I would love to hear something from the Black National Caucus. Don't they have something to say? Haven't heard peep out of them this whole week. Like I said, the only Black politician I've seen is Maxine. And we all know what her point of view is going to be. So I would love to see something from others other than Maxine. And I love Maxine because she does try to stick up for Black people, but she's one person.
I mean, you have some brilliant minds Black brilliant minds in all of these political parties. And if they got together and hammered out an agenda and stuck to it, no matter what the pressure was, you see, and not give in or let anyone water it down or come in and co-opt it, they could be within the United States a power to be reckoned with. A lot of brilliant people in the Democratic Party, but they're too beholden to other folks.
That is a problem.
And that's a problem.
That's the problem with politics. That's the problem with politicians, unfortunately. Because even with 45, who claims that he's not, he's very beholden to a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I mean, that's unfortunately part of politics. And
I think we're in a unique position, though, that we have to maintain our sole interest, no matter who gets pissed off.
That's the thing. If people truly looked at things from that perspective, it will probably be a lot more that got done.
Yes.
But
probably would encourage more people to get involved who otherwise wouldn't, the way it is now. I contend that would be true.
Yeah, because the way that it looks is that you generally go with the politician that's the lesser of two evil, or the one who is closest to your issues. But in all reality, a lot of them are not addressing any of our issues. It's just someone addressing our issues isn't running, or isn't in that position.
Right. Exactly.
And I do understand that both Trump and Biden called up, I guess, the brother of George Floyd. And my understanding is neither one of those conversations went very well from his perspective. Because according to him, 45 wouldn't let him get a word in. And then I guess Biden tried to relate to what he's going through. So, yeah, I think neither one of them should have called him.
Right. So certainly we could initiate a different paradigm that would be in our sole interest, at least from the percentage of the voting of the electorate that we actually have. I think we could maximize it.
We need.
So I would at least like to see that
paradigm. I feel that there's got to be some type of shift in the paradigm.
Now, someone who accepts a revolutionary ideology, I would actually propose something else. But since we're not ready for that, I think this is as close as that it gets. I think to some sort of full enfranchisement. And
I don't think that with the way that these people were out there reacting, right? They're not ready. They're not ready for what you're talking about. I can tell you, they're not ready for that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's why the focus is the African continent, because at least there's no question of who the land and the resources belong to. There's no question. So a little easier there in terms of to electrify mass political parties into a army to win your liberation and initiate a union government. So yeah, you're right, sis.
Yeah, they're not even
To
ready.
me, I understand. Right. So this is not our native land. So, but I think to me, in my mindset, that is the closest that we can get to where
Yeah,
we want to go. And I think if you want some enfranchisement, you whatever machinery that we could effectively create, it has to be for our sole benefit. And it's going to upset a lot of people because it hasn't been heretofore the case, since we've been in these parties. So until we do that, and there's a majority that understands that, this will happen again. We saw in 1992, same thing. You mentioned it the other night with Rodney King. Those 6 officers got off. 1965 Watch Rebellion was for the same thing. Well, let me go back a little bit. In 1968 riots in Detroit,
yep.
police brutality.
It's
65
we keep doing
police
this,
brutality. So, right.
but it's not helping.
So,
That's the thing, and that's the thing. It's like the police. There is a problem with the police in this country. Let's just agree that there is a problem. Not all police, but there's a problem with police officers. Some of the people who wear the uniform, and it's not just in one city. And I think that's probably part of the reason why you have so many protests in other cities where, yeah, it's not going on in their city right now, but last month there was an issue in their city. It just didn't make the news. So I get that part for the people, but the rioting and stuff, it's like we keep doing this. This is not going to fix the problem that we want fixed. I mean, especially this time, because literally in most cities in this country, business was shut down for months. So you're going in and tearing down businesses that were just in the process of reopening in your neighborhood or in your city and everything, and it's ultimately going to hurt everyone. Doing that, that's not going, and that's certainly not going to fix the problem with the police. It's only going to exacerbate it, because now they have an excuse to mistreat some people because you went and did this stupidness. So it's like two wrongs don't make a right.
So I have to ask, what would be your proposal for a solution?
My proposal for a solution would probably definitely, I think that maybe we need to re-look at what the police officers' jobs really are.
That would help. That would help immensely.
I really do. I think that there needs to be a re-evaluation of what they are supposed to be doing, because some of them seem to be confused. I don't think that their job is to kill somebody who allegedly gave a counterfeit bill, which we now know was not a counterfeit bill. So, and in this particular situation, like we all know that this one just seems there's something fishy going on with this particular officer killing this particular man, because it appears that they may have actually known each other. But my solution would be definitely, I think as a whole, and I'm talking about on a national level, we need to evaluate what the purpose of law enforcement is going to be, especially in urban areas.
Because then you're talking about reform,
Yes, I'm talking about reformation. I know they don't want to hear that one,
police reform.
but it's
I'm
but
sorry,
it's
what was that? Say that again.
I said I know they don't want to hear that one, but it's
Oh,
it's
no,
probably
no.
the only thing that is probably the the best solution at this particular, but it would require a reform of at a national level, and starting with the ones that have, you know, the high percentages of bad behavior by police officers. LAPD, NYPD, Minnesota, you know, Minneapolis, you know, all the cities, Dallas, you know, we can start naming the cities where there's been issues with police brutality, starting in those cities first.
How can you make it not in their interest to even hire these people, or how do we stop these racists from becoming cops?
And see, that's the other thing is that what is the actual screening process for police officers? What do they have to put them through? Now, I don't know about, you know, like in other situations. I actually dated someone who, when they were going through the police academy, and as part of the process, they called me and asked me questions. I mean, they asked like personal questions because they wanted to know, was he a sexual deviant? Was he abusive? Did he do, you know, they asked a lot of different questions. I don't know. I'm going to assume that most major police departments do some type of screening like that, but then again, maybe they don't. But I do know that that there should be some specific criteria, because they have to do a psychological evaluation. They have to. I'm pretty sure that's standard, I hope, in hiring people as a police officer.
Understood.
You know, so I think then what we would probably want in that is to have a standardized practice for hiring and screening of candidates for police officers. And I think that it should be a standardized one properly across the country as far as that. And then there's certain types of practices like this nailing in people's back that they were doing in Minneapolis that appears to be still part of their protocol, that need to be taken out of any practices that police officers do in any city, or, you know, in this country. You know, so certain things that they are currently doing as part of what they do to subdue suspects or whatever, those things need to be looked at, because
Right.
if he had not used this tactic, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There would, none of this stuff would be going on right now. You know, because as angry as people were about Ahmaud and about Breonna, they had a little bit of time to let those things sink in. This happened literally as we were coming out of lockdown. And apparently this has been a practice in Minneapolis for at least since 2014 because they paid out another case $3.2 million for the same type of tactic used on a suspect. So, Terry,
Yes.
what would you think would be the first thing? What would your first suggestion be?
Well, hold on. Could you give me about 30 seconds though? Sorry.
Okay,
Excuse me a second.
Angel, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I know this is boring. We're almost done though.
But you're still a great person, Diva.
Yeah, this one is. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now. It's you can't even ignore what's going on. I wish I could talk about something else, but it's like in our faces. It's you just can't ignore it.
Precisely.
I would like to see an organized police force made up of Black men and women as a counterforce
That would be nice.
with the same powers, same duties, same scope of powers as those others as a counterforce. Because the fact is, I mean, they have all the areas of influence, affluence, decision making just sold up. They have state legislature, the state house, the DA's offices, the state attorney general's office, etc. So I think a way to mitigate that, we would have to be able to have the same powers in terms of that in the areas not only where we work or where we live, but the same jurisdictional scope of power. And of course, we'd have to put some protocols so that they couldn't try to somehow thwart that within the ranks, the job that they would be commissioned to do. I think that would be at least an experiment. We could see after a certain amount of time how effective that is, because the fact of the matter is, just don't think you're going to stop them from hiring these people who either were racist when they came in or somehow developed it as they became cops. I've always understood that the police department has been an arm of white supremacy, to be quite honest with you.
It is. You're right.
It's just an undeclared. It's never going to tell you. It's never going to be written down anywhere. And so I think we have to move to some sort of posture of semi-independence. We don't totally want to, even to the point of a provisional government. I think just getting to the point where you can establish a power base, that is when you really get the respect you need. Again, no one's going to love us. I understand that. Their mindset is made up in terms of the racial levels. But, and that's fine. I'm not trying to change that. But I need the wherewithal to protect myself and my people too. You see,
and let
whether
us
they like it or not.
That there's also, we know for a fact that officers who are of color, they suffer dealing with racism within that blue wall. Many of them have to deal with that. I mean, so it's not a secret that there are some certain cops that just don't have a fondness for people of color, even if they have on a blue uniform like themselves.
Right. I mean, something like that can be proposed, knowing that there's no historical precedent for power sharing in this country. It never has been. The color, is those people up there, and ascending down to the darkness of us at the bottom. So at least the attempt can be made, if not the actual establishment of that. And if not, then move swiftly into a provisional government. If we don't want to do that, if that's so remote in the mindsets of blacks, this will not end. Until, of course, you think about the second coming, I guess. I guess I'm trying to be facetious, but they're not, each generation of these people understand clearly what their assignment is. They've proven it for the last 400 years. I know you know that, sis, but I don't think a lot of people really have thought of that. You understand?
No, they don't. They don't
So,
understand. But they don't understand. Hey, cool Jet. They don't understand. You know that there was an agenda when some of us were brought here and some were left there. And it appears that we were the only ones who were enslaved, but they just, did it a different way with them. But they still have had to deal with very similar things to us, just maybe not chains.
well, actually, depending on who the colonizer was, it was really another name for slavery, really. But basically, they had to get the materials, the raw materials. So, I mean, remember, you had a collective of imperialisms with 6 European countries, and then after 1945, America joined in as a leading imperialist country. From then up until the present. So you see the full effect of that. We all know that's still exploitation, but they had to have a setup where they can obviously systematically rape the continent, and people had to be brought up in a generation of colonialism that would accept it when the time came that colonialism had to change its tactics.
Mm-hmm.
After 1945, the ideas of democracy and freedom had gotten to the mindsets, the earlobes and mindsets of people it hadn't intended there on the continent. And so they started clamoring, obviously, for their independence, and many of them got semi-independence. So, they had to change tactics to the new situation so they can continue the same exploitative relationship and control. And of course, up to now, we've talked about that as neocolonialism. So, but still in power, still in control. That's the bottom line. Whether it looks here, whether it's, the antebellum South, chattel slavery, black codes, Jim Crow. But at the same time, over there, they couldn't, certain things they couldn't do either. For years, things like poultry, meat, beef, things like that, nutritious foods were only available to Europeans in Africa. Did you know that? I mean, it was a form of that going on. You understand? But,
and that's what I'm saying is that although and I don't,
white man still in control.
I don't think that a lot of Black Americans understand that although our ancestors were going through a certain type of I guess brainwashing and forcing us to assimilate to Western cultural standards, the same thing was happening on the continent, just a different way because it was multiple countries doing it.
Exactly. You had a collective of imperialisms. They all had their agenda to feed their national economies. At a time when Europe was at an economic collapse. And actually, the scramble for Africa was a way for them to maintain a semblance of peace between themselves, as well.
Well, that had a lot to do with the fact that they looked and saw, what was going on over in the United States as we were going into the Reconstruction, and they were freeing the Africans, quote unquote, here. That's when they were starting to do what they needed to do over there.
Yes.
So
So it still had this, yeah, it still had this hegemony, exactly. So
yeah,
it might, yeah. So that, but that's the bottom line, though. You see, it's like as long as they have control of everything, and they put these people under this political subjugation, that was sufficient. Slavery over here, Jim Crow, what have you, and they're still control. So now we see a global situation.
well, it's
So
because it's been a global assault on Black people, and when I say Black people, I mean people who, wherever they were born, their ancestors came from the continent of Africa. But it's been a global assault, no matter
so
where
I
you are.
right. So I just wanted to raise that because we can see the consistency here.
Yeah, and I
And
think that's the reason why. I think that's the reason why at this time that it's not just here in the United States where we're starting to see the protests. They're protesting in London. They're protesting in Italy. They're protesting
right,
on the continent of Africa, because
right.
I think that as a global people, Black people have had enough. We're tired. We're tired of our race being put through all of this, our people being put through all of this, no matter where we are in the world.
Very true.
And I think that's what it really is. But I also recognize that the looting and the fires and everything are to throw off of that actual message. You know, and it's just going to give these people a reason to start martial law, because, you know, as I speak, the National Guard is in my city. As I speak, they're in my city. So I'm not happy about that. But I know we've been on here for well over an hour, like almost an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's
I
been
thought we
over
was gonna
90
go for a
minutes.
while. I was prepared to go for a lot longer than that, sis.
I know you were. I like, but
All
I will be back on tomorrow. I'm just, I think I'm like spent. I am like
Understood.
spent.
Understood.
This is, you know, everything that's going on got me spent. But I'm gonna come on camera. I know you guys are getting ready to jump off, but
Yeah. You have a great night there, Diva, and you have a great night as well, Terry. Love the both of you.
You too, Andy.
Thanks for hanging
You too.
all this time, both of you guys. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody in the chat. Thank you guys. Yeah, this has been a crazy weekend. If you haven't taken a look at my latest autism blog, I would highly recommend it. I am talking about Micah Stafford, who is trending all over social media. She's a mommy vlogger, and she and her husband rehomed their child with autism to someplace else. And I did a reaction video to that. So I hope you guys take a look at it. But I will be back on tomorrow. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight and kind of letting me vent and get through this. Hopefully you won't be on this curfew all week, because, you know, I got some acting to do. I got a movie to finish. My scene's in, but I'll talk more about that during the week. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, I offer you guys peace and blessings from the West Side. Everybody stay safe. I would say we're going to get through this. I know we're going to get through this. Let's just keep brainstorming on some solutions, on some real solutions that are not what we're all seeing on our television sets and on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.